So, if you've ever tried to teach someone, well, pretty much anything, you always hit that same wall, right? That big question, where do I even start? Well, today we're going to crack open Julie Dirksen's fantastic book, Designed for How People Learn, and we're going to find that answer, starting right at the beginning with Chapter 1.
The book kicks things off with his brilliant, kind of strange analogy. A suspension bridge to fix a pothole? What's that about? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The solution has to fit the problem. You just don't go and build this giant, complicated, expensive bridge when all you really needed was a bucket of asphalt.
All right, let's look at a real-world example from the book. Picture this. A client comes in, and they have this huge, costly problem. Their best employees are leaving in droves. People are just walking out the door, and it is a complete and total nightmare for the company.
And so, what was their grand idea to stop this mass exodus? A mandatory training course on the history of the company. Yep, you heard that right. That was their suspension bridge. That was their big, expensive solution to what they thought the problem was.
It just makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Is the real reason everyone's quitting because they, don't know who the founder was back in 1982? Yeah, probably not. The solution and the problem are in completely different zip codes.
And this whole story just perfectly nails a mistake that, let's be honest, we all make. We rush to build a solution, a course, a workshop, something, before we have any clue what the real issue is. It's like a doctor prescribing medication without even asking about your symptoms.
Which, of course, brings us right back to that big question. If a company history course is the wrong tool for the job, what is the right one? How do we stop ourselves from building these huge, useless suspension bridges?
Okay, this is where Julie Dirksen introduces a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. She calls it the gap. See, your first job as a learning designer isn't to start making content. Nope, it's to figure out the exact space between where your learners are right now and where they need to end up. But here's the real kicker. The gap isn't just one thing. Dirksen breaks it down into 5 totally different types, and you should really think of these as your diagnostic toolkit, the things that help you figure out what's actually going on under the hood.
First up, we've got the one we all jump to immediately, the knowledge gap. This one's easy. The person just doesn't know something. Maybe they don't know the new safety procedures. We almost always assume this is the problem, but it's very rarely the whole story.
Next is the skills gap, and this is totally different. Look, I can read a book about how to play guitar, I can know all the theory, but that does not mean I can actually play a song. Knowing what to do is not the same as being able to do it. That takes practice, that takes skill. Then you get the motivation gap. This is when someone knows what to do, they even have the skills to do it, they just don't want to. Maybe they think it's pointless, or maybe there's even a reason for them not to do it. You can't just throw a training course at someone who doesn't care.
Okay, now for a big one. The habit gap. Think about asking a longtime employee to switch to brand new software. The problem isn't just learning the new buttons, it's unlearning years and years of muscle memory from the old system. You're actually fighting against their brain's autopilot.
And finally, there's the environment gap. And sometimes you find out the problem isn't the person at all, it's everything around them. The tools are terrible, the instructions are a mess, or the company culture actually punishes people for doing the right thing. In cases like these, the learner is basically set up to fail from the start.
So, why is all this so important? Why bother breaking it down like this? Because it forces us to be detectives before we start being builders. You have to diagnose the real problem before you can even think about designing the right solution. It's all about diagnosing before you prescribe. Because, think about it, you can't fix a motivation problem with a skills workshop, and you can't solve an environment problem with an online quiz. The moment you mismatch the solution and the problem, you're just burning time, money, and everyone's goodwill. It's just a total waste.
When you start thinking this way, it completely changes your role. You're no longer just a content creator who makes slides. You become a problem solver, a detective. Your real value is in finding the right gap, and only then building that perfect, elegant little bridge to get across it.
And that right there, that's the absolute heart of this first chapter. Before you design anything, before you write a single word, your most important job is to find the gap. It is the most critical first step of the entire process.
But that leads to one final really interesting question, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth can you understand the gap if you don't first understand the person who's standing right in the middle of it? To really see the problem, you have to see it through their eyes. So, how do we do that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into next time. See you then.